can talk about homework for that was left that we talked about last Thursday. Can I get a hands up or a thumbs up if you have a GitHub account? Hands up, virtual thumbs up, checks. I like it. Roya, Susan, Kristen. Oh, Kristen just got thumbs up.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Do you have a GitHub account?
No, I just got back from the field and didn't have time to make it.
That's okay. You should make
I'm on it right now. I'm looking at the link.
Okay, great. It's like signing up for like any other thing. It'll take just bare information and you can do it pretty quick. So that was the mandatory, only in the sense that we need to use it today, homework. Did anybody try the optional homework of turning one of their existing folders into a repository? Yes, no. Richie, was that a yes? Okay, would you like to share about your experience?
It was like actually like just 10 minutes before this class started, but I was just
that counts.
there was a bit of a code that I wanted to start keeping track of, so all I did was add it. Yeah, I did like the git in it, and then
nice
added it, and then I think commit it, and then I tried to find it again, and I didn't know where it went exactly when I used git status, but
yeah, if you committed it and you do git status again, it doesn't look like it's there. But if you do git log, you should be able to pull up your last commit message.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay,
no worries.
I need to do that now.
I like that. That was a nice succinct overview of what we covered last time, right? So we CD'd into a folder that you want to turn into a repository, get in it, and then if you have code that you've done something to, you add. There's like the two steps: the adding and then the commit with the commit message. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Well, this is my Slack, but here I will go back out and do CD. So if you could also follow along and pull up, if you have it, your repository. Susan asked last time a great question about why do we need to use this? And I came up with one more answer for you, Susan. And you can listen along while you create a GitHub account. It's come to my and Kristina's attention that there are some cases of online workshops, especially in the data science statistics world, where it is kind of just assumed that you know how to use it. Not necessarily the Git adding and committing, but so for folks that offer kind of hands-on workshops. Kristina noticed this with a Python workshop, like a 2-week Python training she did, and I noticed this with there's this ecological forecasting initiative. They have a series of statistical advances seminars. Ben Bolker taught one, in fact, and so those trainers provide their code and the ideas that they show it and explain what's happening, and you can follow along. And it's all in a repo. And the idea is that without really further ado, they kind of assume that you went to the repo, you cloned it, you have it open on your computer, and you can follow along. Like, they didn't make a big deal out of the GitHub part of it. They kind of just assume that. And that's a pretty shallow, minor example. By no means am I saying you will be, all of the trainings expect this or anything. But in our field, it might turn in that direction. It's such a popular tool at this point. Okay, and then Susan also requested, or I shouldn't say also requested very, an important thing that I had mentioned, but I didn't show, which is that you can revert back to previous versions of code. Like I said, one of the advantages of using Git is that you can make changes. You have saved those changes, but if you want to go to a previous version because whatever you tried just now didn't work, that's okay too. So we're going to learn about there's two ways that could go, right? Basically, you could have worked. The first way is you saved it, but you haven't committed it yet. So say here on my screen, to test this, just FYI, like full disclosure, I got into trouble and I had to delete and start over, which is why it doesn't look like the way it did last time on Thursday. So yeah, I got myself in a hole I couldn't get out of. That does happen. I usually defer to smarter people than myself for help, like Kristina et al. To help me, but in this case, I just started over. Okay, so you might, for example, you guys can follow along with me. You might add another, first try analysis, and maybe you have some model that's a linear model that is y tilde x. Yeah. This is again pseudocode. There's no actual CSV we're reading in, and so I do a whole bunch of that. And for some reason there was a problem, and I've saved it, right? Like I can't, like at this point, I suppose, yeah, undo still works, but maybe you've done so much that you don't want to just undo. You just want to get like today's work or this session's worth of work. I haven't committed it yet, but it's no good. I want it to start fresh, like as though I just opened this this project up earlier and I want to start fresh. But if I go over to my Git terminal, first things first, we have to navigate. The terminal window when you open up R is probably going to be in your home directory, not where you last left off. Except Kristina's going to talk next time about other ways for that to work. But so I'm back. I'm putting my working directory. I'm back in my home directory, and I need to get back into my repo. So CD is change directory, and from here, I know that I need to go into my documents folder. Right, and just in terms of tab autocomplete, yeah, DO doesn't work because I have both a downloads and a documents, but if I type the third letter and I press tab, it lets me autocomplete. And in here, I know that my folder name is pilot analyses, so I'll autocomplete that as well. Okay, and I know I'm in a repository because of this, at least on my screen, it's got this turquoise main over here. So I'm not just in a folder, I'm in a repository. That's just another visual clue that you're in the right spot where you think you are. So here, if I do get status, remember I did a bunch of work, but I don't want it. But if I get status, it's being, those changes are coming up as me having changed my file. I want that to go away. Like I don't want there to be, I want it to be as though I just started fresh from my previous commit, right, from yesterday's work. You can actually read, it's pretty be dense at first, but there are helpful messages up here. It says, there's changes not saved for commit, and I can use git add and then the file name to update it. But I don't actually want to add it. I want it to go away. So the second option here is to use git restore file to discard changes in the working directory. And that's actually the option I want to try today. So I've made those changes have saved, but I want to get rid of all of them. Oh, person popped up. And so today, let's try git space restore 01. And then I'll let that autocomplete. Enter. And if you had yours open up like I did, you should see that the changes you made, maybe you made one comment, maybe you made a comment in another line, those disappear. It's like they just went away. And so now if you do git status, there's nothing to commit. It's a clean, you're starting fresh again. You went back and started fresh. So maybe that's probably not that common of an application. Like maybe you don't, maybe it's not that common for you to do a whole bunch of work and then want to get rid of it all. But if for some reason that's kind of like a baby step in terms of going back, right? You're going back not to your previous commit, but just as though the work since the last commit hasn't happened. That is git restore and then file name.
Kunal says that it didn't go away, but there's nothing to commit. So the things that you added didn't go away, like the lines you added didn't go away.
It just disappeared. I guess it just took a minute. Sorry.
Oh, okay, cool. I was like,
no
mystery
worries.
Things. I think you probably also need to be a little careful with doing this because if you do get restore and these changes you made disappear, I don't think you can get them back.
Yeah.
So use with caution, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. The committed things you can undo your undo of the committing, I think. But this is just like, oops, maybe I erroneously started typing in the wrong file. Maybe I thought I opened one file, started typing, but it's actually in the wrong place. And I don't want to break anything. I don't want to go back manually and take it out in case I missed something. I just want a fresh copy. But this pretty permanently gets rid of it. Okay. And so for the next example, where you actually want to revert to a previous commit. So instead of saying I want to go I want to get rid of all of the work that I just did but haven't committed, I want to go before that. I want to go back before a version that I've already committed. I'm using the word commit a lot. Does the distinction here make sense to folks so far? Why there's kind of two flavors? Or Susan, I got a thumbs up. Okay. So in this case, to show this example, let's make two commits, okay? So I'm literally just going to call this comment 1 and save it. And so I'm just going to, just for purely to show this, git status, right? Git add the file, git commit, -m for message, and then space quotes. And we can type in, I'm just going to write the same thing, comment 1, and enter. So I've committed that. And we're going to make another commit so that we can go back, so we can revert to. So I'm going to make another comment on line 5, comment 2, save it. And here I'm going to do the same thing I just did, git add 1, but this time the commit message is comment 2. So we just added 2 quick commits in succession on successive lines just to show what it's like to go back. Okay. So here is where we can use git. Let's look at git log. Oops, it made my, So when I typed in git log, I could see that I had a commit, and it's got this unique random chain of numbers and letters. That was my most recent one, was comment 2, and then the one before that was comment 1. For some reason, again, we're pretending here, I want to go back before comment 2, and it's really important that I go back to that previous version. I want to go back to this version. And so this is where I got myself messed up and why I ended up deleting the repository. But to go back to here, we actually just need to revert 1 step, right? It's tempting to say, oh, I need to go back to here. It's 2 steps, but actually we're just going back 1 step here. And there's a few ways to do this. Kristina, do you remember why the difference between git revert versus git checkout? Or if one is preferred versus the other? I think they do the equivalent thing.
I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head. These are things that I do, like, while I do them sometimes, I do them infrequently enough that I usually have to Google to remember how to do it.
Same.
Sorry.
Same. No worries. So let's do a revert. I think that makes sense because we use git checkout. Git checkout is used for something else. So here in this case, I want to revert this commit. I want to make sure this commit, it's like this commit doesn't happen, and I want basically line 5 here to be deleted, and I'm only left with the contents of line, it only goes down to line 4. So to get out of my log messages here, I need to use Q to get out of that. But I didn't want to scroll up and find the commit. Oh gosh, what does it look like this? I do want this first, maybe 6 or 7. Let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's take 7 to be sure. So on your own screen, everyone's is going to be different. Go ahead and highlight the first 7-ish, it doesn't matter if it's more really, but at least 6 or 7 letters and copy those. So that's like a unique identifier. We can revert this commit. We can revert this commit by calling it by its identifying name right there. And again, we want to go back to this version, so we're reverting one version previous. Okay, scrolling down to a fresh line. The command here is git revert space, and then I'm going to right click and paste that unique ID in.
Sorry, so I wasn't paying enough attention, but so you mentioned that the term for those strings of random numbers and letters are referred to as hashes, git hashes.
Oh, they're hashes. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, and then you can use the full one, which is the long version of it, or you can use the first 5 or 6 of them. And usually that's unique enough that you don't have multiple commits with the same 5 or 6 first numbers and letters.
Yes, I suppose on the most precise side, we could have copied it. It wouldn't have been any harder to copy and paste the whole entire hash. We're taking the first 5 or 6 letters. I'm going to press enter there. Ah, okay. I think. Are other people seeing this the same? So what happened was, for me on my computer, is that it did revert that. I went back and the 5th line is gone and comment 2 is gone. I've gone to the previous version, which is what I wanted to do. I get a thumbs up if you guys were able to go back. 1 check mark, 2.
So I am not able to do that because I don't know what happens when I do git log. It doesn't allow me to put other comments after that. It says end within brackets.
Oh,
And
could you, the letter Q will let you quit out of that. Try that.
great.
Sometimes it's the letter Q, and sometimes text editors, it's like, depending on your text editor, it's a different thing. It can be a little confusing. Liliana?
I'm trying to follow along, and I'm reading the comments on Slack because I joined you late, so I don't want to disturb for the moment.
Okay.
Just
No
I
worries.
will let you know. Thank you.
No problem. So when this happens, you actually, this is itself another commit. The commit is you're reverting to a previous commit. So there is a commit message associated with it. And for me, that's why this text editor opened up. I actually do not know which text editor this is. This might be Nano. And I'm not sure that everyone, I'm reasonably sure that everyone's going to have slightly ones text editors.
Did everyone have something that looks like this pop up?
Yeah, does it look like this or not? It does.
If someone doesn't, maybe you should do like red
Yeah.
X or unmute yourself.
Yeah, let me know if it doesn't look like this. Fabiana, were you able to do the revert?
So I wrote git revert and then the 4-digit code.
Mhm.
What were they for? But actually, I do not have the same. So I think they get a sort of error.
Okay, 4 digits might not be enough. If you want to go back up to your
okay.
git log and like 5 or 6, let's just split the difference. 6. 6
That,
would probably be enough.
if I understood correctly, is so more code, but from the last commitment, right?
Yes, from your last commit. So you can't
Okay.
can't necessarily copy mine. It's different. Okay.
Yeah, so the git hashes, the random string of numbers and letters, should be unique to an individual commit. So yours will be different than Jessica's, and then each of your commits will have its own unique hash.
I have
So
it now.
Excellent. And you also have this kind of, it looks kind of like this on your computer.
Yeah, revert. Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is putting in an automatic commit message. And the commit message here is we're reverting the previous commit message, which was, I just said comment 2. So we can go ahead and exit this. I'm fine with that. I don't need to edit that. So down here, there's, if you ever get stuck in one of these, down here, it shows some of the options for leaving the text editor. And for this it's *X, which is Control X, I believe. Not sure on a Mac, is that the same as Apple X? I hope.
I think it's also Control X.
Or, oh, you guys have a Control and an Apple button. Exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I do git log now, I wonder what I will see. Okay, so there's a new commit that is revert comment 2, revert comment 2, right? And that's on top of the comment 2. And then presumably down here, there's the comment 1. And this is what Kristina was talking about. This feels a little bit safer, right? Because you could, if you wanted, it breaks my brain a little bit to think about it, but you could go back and revert and get back what you got rid of. Yeah, it gets a little fuzzy in my head, like thinking about time travel too hard or something, but but it's possible. Unlike the git restore, which it hasn't been committed, so if you go back, it's just gone. It's just gone, and so we have to be. Yeah, it's that one. That one you cannot undo.
And so this seems more complicated maybe, but really like Git is tries really hard to not let you basically like erase things forever. So if you have commits in your history, like Git really doesn't want you to be able to just like delete one entirely. So it's leaving a record of the previous one instead.
Mm-hmm. And it actually works for me in a counterintuitive way, right? This actually makes me feel much more empowered and to get rid of code. Instead of having all of my code that I've ever written in case I ever need to go back to it, but then it's probably named poorly, or it's like it's commented out in the middle of some other script, I can't ever find it again. This provides a way that I feel pretty free to go ahead. Okay, that didn't work. Deleting, removing that. It's in my commit history, so I can get it back. And there's a commit message associated with it. Not that it's super easy, as you can tell, to navigate these commit message logs, but there is at least a description of what happened, so I can try to recreate and refine what did happen. Okay, that was only like two commands, but I feel like that was a lot of content. So if there are any questions or points of discussion at this point, let's talk before moving on.
So I'm stuck at the like revert and then like the message I had put. And I don't know how to quit out of it. The Control and Command X weren't working.
Oh, huh. Would you like to share your screen?
Yes. And then I clicked a button that does something else. Don't understand.
Oh, it happens to me all the time.
Can you give me screen sharing?
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. There you go. So there was not at the bottom of your screen that like bunch of X's.
The options can come up.
Kristina, do you know which text editor this is?
Trying to figure out what that is. I don't know.
This thing at the bottom wasn't there until I clicked something or typed something. This like last line insert.
It looks like you might be in Vim, which is a different text editor. So hold on a second. I'm Googling. So just so people know what I'm doing, so you can help solve your own problems later on. I just Googled the insert recording at Q, and then it popped up with something about Vim. And I already know that Vim is a type of text editor. So I'm now Googling how to exit Vim. It looks like you need to type colon and then quit, the word QUIT, quit, and then hit enter.
Just like anywhere?
Maybe? Nope, that didn't work. Okay.
Because I can't get below like,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're like stuck on that view, right?
And it says terminal one busy, so maybe I have to like,
Well, that's because you're in a text editor right now. So
Okay.
basically your terminal is busy in that text editor.
It says that you can press the escape key.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Try that. And then you should see the insert label vanish, which it did do. To
Mhm.
save, type :W and then enter. Okay, looks like that worked. It was written. And then to quit, you type :Q and then hit enter.
Well, Vim is so weird.
Okay. Yeah, I have no experience with it, but I know it's one of the other common ones. Nano and Vim are the common default ones. So
Okay, now I see that once I did that, then it went to the old version.
Yes.
Yay.
And you
Okay,
have a
sweet.
$sign. So if you do git log now,
Okay.
yep, you have revert test2 as your message from, there's actually a lot. Yeah. And this reverts commit, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else have need anything to get caught up? Okay.
So, well, one thing I want to say, because I have struggled with this, and I know other people have before too, is that don't be afraid to do stuff in Git, and that, to try new things that could potentially mess stuff up. It's almost impossible to do so much stuff with your Git repository that you like permanently screw things up. And so don't be afraid of like trying different weird Git commands to try to solve problems or whatever. So almost any hole you could get yourself in with Git, you'll be able to get it back out of. And we can help you with that too. So
Yeah, you might need like input from other people to help get
Yeah.
you back out of it when you're learning. But yeah, don't let that be a barrier, like the error messages or something be a barrier to keep trying it. I like that.
but it can be scary. You're like, what if I do this and I totally screw up my Git repository? Like, try to not have that fear, because it's not very realistic.
Okay. And that's a good message for the next step, because we are going to do something on the command line. Things on the command line, I feel very empowered, but I also am scared sometimes of the power that is at my fingertips. I'm going to queue to quit out of my Git log. Oh, I should share screen. The next topic we're going to talk about is SSH, secure SSH key pairs, which is a secure way of your computer talking to your account on GitHub. And so we asked everyone to make an account on GitHub. And you can see that like there is function, I would say that there is functionality using Git on its own, but really the kind of power of Git is more so when it's combined with GitHub, because GitHub is the part that lets you share what you're doing with other people. And that can make it really powerful to collaborate on code, especially if the alternative is like emailing back and forth, right? And like looking at, there's all kinds of reasons why dependencies, file structures, you have different versions of, there's all kinds of reasons why emailing a script back and forth isn't exactly fully, easily reproducible. And that's less so the case on GitHub. GitHub is also where I go. You don't have to go on GitHub to do this, but people often publish packages. Maybe if it's a specific package for your field, those packages can be available on GitHub, and you can see the code for those packages even before they're on CRAN, right? It's like another step to get a package onto CRAN. But like if you're using something really fresh that people have just published a paper on and you're excited to use that, you can usually find that on GitHub.
What is CRAN? Just in case.
Oh,
people don't.
Christina, what is CRAN?
That's not fair.
You're the one who knows.
I know, I'm just kidding. But yeah, So CRAN is a repository for R packages. It's sort of like the main official one. And so for people who write R packages that other people might use often, they'll oftentimes put it on CRAN. It sort of gives you another layer of checking about the like sort of how well maintained your package is. And then also it's another layer of like people find it more trustworthy that way. So a lot of the typical R packages you would use are posted on CRAN. But yeah, then there are a lot of others that people have developed that they have not put on CRAN, but can be useful for your specific field or task. CRAN it stands for, oh my gosh, something repository, some comprehensive R archive network. So yeah, I'll post a link in Slack to CRAN if you're not familiar with it yet.
Yeah,
It's probably where you installed R from.
Mm-hmm. And if you have a goal someday of, writing your own R package or turning one of your dissertation chapters into an R package or something like, yeah, the gold standard is to put it on CRAN so people can access it easily. But before that, you're probably going to develop it and share it on GitHub. Okay, so why did I talk about GitHub? Oh, so there's a step that we're going to take right now to connect our computers securely with GitHub. They used to let you use HTTPS. Don't ask me too many details about what these things are. I don't know. I would have to Google to get you the answer. But that was not very secure. It was prone to hacking, apparently. A while back, like a year ago, there was some big hack that like impacted a whole bunch of computers and a whole bunch of systems. And apparently that came from like an unsecured like HTTPS connection or something like that. So I hear from my more computer literate friends. So then GitHub gave us like until my birthday last year, August 13th last year, to get on to SSH. And I dragged my feet. And then one day it stopped working. I stopped being able to push my commits to GitHub to save them like in the cloud, not just on my computer. And so it forced me to convert to SSH. And we're all going to have to do it that way now. Okay, so the first thing to check is that you have an SSH folder, and you can do that. It's a hidden folder. So we're going to do ls. It doesn't, oh, by the way, it doesn't matter where you are. We can do this. We're going to use we're going to be able to do this from wherever. So ls-al space, and then we're going to go to our root directory. Sorry, our home directory. / and then .ssh. So that's the name of the folder, I believe. What do you guys see when you type this? This might be different for everybody.
I get no such file or directory.
Okay, that's fine. Does anybody have a message other than no such file or directory? Same thing? Okay. Does anybody see something like what I have here, or is everyone getting no such file or directory? No such file. Okay, I'm gonna interpret that as same. Okay, great. Everyone's on the same page of no such. That makes it easier. I'm not gonna run this next part because I already have a key and it's already connected to my account and I don't want to change that. But we're going to use a command SSH or SSH-keygen, I think. SSH-keygen -t. Oh, what's this chat? I see. Okay, so you have known hosts, but you don't have any keys in there, right, Roya? You don't have anything that's got like a .pub on the end? Okay. No, I don't see. Okay, that's fine. It's the same for you as for everybody else then, this next step. Okay. So we're typing so far SSH-keygen space -t space oh my gosh ed 25519 space dash C. And in the quotes, we're going to type how you recognize, like a name that you have for this computer. So I think mine was Jessica at laptop. It's not like an actual like address, right? It's just a name for what this is. And this is reminding myself that it's for my username and it's my laptop, not my, presumably if I had a desktop somewhere else. But I'm not going to enter this. But once you have, you're pretty sure, here I can copy this first part into the chat. Name at right, so replace the name with your name, with replace computer with whatever, some way of identifying the machine you're on. And then you can go ahead and press enter. And I'm not going to press enter. Don't want to generate another key. Do you guys, what message do you see after this?
It's asking to enter file in which to save the key.
Okay, at this point, I think it would be more useful for me to stop sharing and for one of you to share, and so that we're seeing the same thing. Who wants to volunteer? Share their screen.
I can share.
Please do.
Yeah, and you sounds like you have what is expected. So
oh, wait, I don't see what though. Oh, I might have hit enter. So this was the message that I got.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it's saving into the .ssh folder after Priya, right? So it's like your name, and then there's a /.ssh, and then it's saving that ID _ ed numbers.
so you want to do, everyone should do what Priyanka did, which is when you get that message, you hit enter. You don't have to type anything in.
Did anybody get a passphrase prompt at this point?
I did.
Okay, so you can secure it with a password that you remember. But there is no reset my password option. So this is probably poor security on my part, but I just pressed enter instead of typing anything to kind of skip it. Actually, Priyanka, can you repeat the first one, the LS-AL, yeah, or go up a couple arrows. Yeah,
This one?
Yeah, show that again. What does it look like now?
Let's give it the same and access.
Huh. That.
And this is what I had typed.
Huh. That is so weird. Can you try that? Can you go up arrow twice and then try again? I guess I just want to see the message there.
Okay.
When you entered. Enter file in which to save the key. So yeah, I should have created that directory. Okay. And you press enter.
Oh, this is new. I didn't get this before.
Okay, so just I would say go ahead and press enter for no passphrase. Enter again. So this is hopefully that is the message that you want. It ends in this random art image. But let's check the ls-al tilde.ssh again. Yeah, just like that. Enter.
Okay. Yeah, now I have.
Now there should be
Dot, dot,
a
pub.
private key and a public key. The .pub is the public key.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that Priyanka has a key generated. Can I get a green check mark from others who also have that?
So can I ask a question? Will we always use, where did the command go?
This is the first time
the-
only kind of thing.
Oh, okay. But if I were to read, let's say I have a new laptop and I'm trying to do this again, this will exactly stay the same, like this ED and okay.
That part should, yeah, you might name it laptop 2 at that point. If you got a
Yeah,
new- if
okay.
you have a new computer. Yeah, and so we haven't got, so we're like halfway through. We still need to connect this. The reason is like, you might have multiple laptops or computers, right? But your GitHub, you have one GitHub account. So this is
Yeah.
to let GitHub know that it's really you when you're typing, when you're trying to push things from this computer. And then if you got a new computer or you have a computer in the lab that you use or something that belongs to your PI, that also has permission to push to your GitHub account.
So it's like
What
the dual, is it fair to say it's like the dual, what we use for our net ID access, sort of like having an extra protection to be able to connect, but can be connected through different laptops or anywhere? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if that's SSH, but I think that that's a similar idea of that secure.
Okay.
There's a matched pair, like a key and
Yeah.
a lock.
Yep.
And if they match, then it's okay, it's really you. Of course, yeah, this would, the second layer of this is if you did enter a passphrase, then you would type that passphrase
Fast-paced.
in to doubly verify. Not only am I from this, right, because a hacker or somebody could have stolen your computer, right, and like tried to push things, but they wouldn't know your passphrase.
May I ask?
Hmm?
I think I got something similar to Priyanka's, but I entered a wrong name for my computer. Like the name of my computer was the one that you use in the prompt. I mean, I accidentally copied the command that you sent on the chat, and I didn't change the name of the computer, but just hit enter. So is there something wrong with that? Or should I change the name of the computer, like to make sure it's doing the security thing on this laptop?
It doesn't, I don't think it matters as long as you copy it over in the same way on GitHub in the next step.
Okay.
So I think you're fine. If you check the ls-al // now and you have like two, like a pair, like a public key and a private.
The thing is that afterwards I got the less than sign instead of the dollar sign at the beginning of the line.
Huh. Okay, Priyanka, do you mind stopping sharing and we'll
Yep.
switch over to Liliana's computer?
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, this is what I got. This is up to here is similar to Priyanka. Then I try to go back,
Oh.
and this is what I get.
What happens if you escape a couple of times? I think, yeah.
I think it might have happened because there are 2 double quotes at the end of the command. I don't know
Yeah,
why
it's like
it put you
quoting
somewhere
another
else.
thing. You can also close that quotes, like do another double quote. And I think if you enter, it'll just error.
Like this?
Yeah, press enter.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it didn't error. Oh, shoot.
Oh, something weird is happening. No, but you can just, I think you can just overwrite your
Yeah.
ID_ed 25519 file.
Yeah,
So if you
just
just
go
hit
ahead and
enter
add-
twice.
enter a bunch of times, and then do it again. basically.
Oh, and it didn't happen because it asked if you wanted to overwrite, and this is YN, and because you didn't say yes, it didn't overwrite it. But I think you can fix the name.
Okay.
You run the same command again, but update like you did
Yeah.
before, update the name.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Oh, no. Yeah, there, go back and
Okay.
you can delete and
Should I use
rename.
this one that is here?
up to here? You
Oh, no,
lay
it's
out-
just, you can just use your name.
Okay,
Yep. And then at laptop, if this is indeed your laptop that you're on, or at
Mhm.
whatever name. Oh, you want
enter. Oh,
to check,
Get rid
remove
of-
the R? There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Since we're fixing things.
no,
anyway.
it's thank you. So just enter.
Yep. And then we can enter here and then enter. And then press Y, type Y, enter. And then you can leave that blank or type in a password.
Okay.
Okay. And so now let's try the ls-al.
This one. No.
Yeah,
This-
yeah, that one. Mhm. Okay, great. You have a public,
you.
you have a pair of keys or. Whew, okay. And anybody else encountering difficulties needing to fix that? Anybody else need to share screen, troubleshoot? Okay, wow, everybody's following along so quickly. Okay, so this next part is where I had some. I'm going to share my screen again, actually. We had some issues with this last time. So let's do with. So we're going to use just the SS. So last time we used SSH-keygen, and next we're going to do just SSH. But before that, I want to check to make sure that we're all using a non-Windows copy of SSH. And I guess if you have a Mac, it doesn't matter, but play along with me here. Let's type which-a space SSH. And for me, this is searching my computer for the programs named SSH. And the first one that comes up is just regular, like it's just SSH. The second one is under something called OpenSSH. It's a Windows special flavor of SSH. And sometimes there was a known bug for it and it didn't work for certain users last time. So it's fine though. It's fine that I have it on here. I don't need to get rid of it. I just need to make sure that it's not the first thing. Can you raise your hand if OpenSSH is your first option when you type which-a SSH? Okay, Liliana and Priyanka, those are, so for the two of you, this one comes first, yeah?
No, I misheard you. No, I have the same order as yours.
Oh,
Same here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of you?
I understood
Okay.
the question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay if it's there. It's just as long as the first thing is not OpenSSH.
Yeah, the first is /user/bin.sh.
Great. Roya, how about you?
I have the same as yours.
Okay. Okay. Okay, then we will go on to the next step, and hopefully you won't get that same error message. It took a while to troubleshoot and figure this out last time. But if that's the case, then we can type SSH-t space git at github.com. And mine's going to be different than yours because mine is connected, but you should have a different output that says that it cannot be, what is it? Can't be established. The authenticity of host github.com can't be authenticated or can't be established, right? Okay. We haven't given, so there's the two copies. There's the id_ed and then the id_ed.pub. We haven't given it, haven't put that on GitHub yet. So it doesn't have so this side needs to have the private one and GitHub needs to have the public one, and they need to be able to match. So we're going to give it our public one. And for now, that requires opening, printing out the contents of this .pub key. And so that is a command, I don't think we've learned it yet, called cat. Kristina, do you happen to know what cat stands for?
So CAT stands for concatenate.
Oh, okay.
And so basically what it does is what that means is that, so what CAT does is it prints off the contents of the file to your terminal window.
Mhm.
But the reason it's called concatenate is because like what it's really doing is it's taking from whatever file you have, it's taking each line and smushing them together. So concatenating them one after the other, and then putting it on the screen. So yeah, it's kind of a weird named command. What happened to
Oh.
your window? Oh, never mind. What?
Kunal just mentioned, typed in, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Go ahead and say no for right now. We're gonna stop. It's not authenticated. It's not gonna work. So let's just say no. And let's do this step with the cat. By the way, concatenate is also what the C in R stands for, right? When you do C, like, and then put a bunch of things in a list or in a vector together. So, okay, so we're gonna do cat, and then ~/ So that's our folder is .ssh, and then ID. I'm gonna autocomplete, but that's not the end, right? I only want to show the public key. So ID, let that autofill, and then remember to add the .pub at the end. Nope, print it out. We're gonna take this and go ahead and highlight and copy that with a right click. Okay. I need a fresh GitHub page. Man, mine now automatically logs me in. So it'll look, you guys, if you can go at this juncture, well, I guess let me stop for a second. Are we all, have you guys been able to copy that contents of that .pub key? Got a thumbs up.
Can you go back
thumbs
to your
down.
terminal?
Oh, of course. Going too fast. Here we go. So the command was cat ~/.ssh/ and then ID blah 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 ending in .pub, and then I went ahead and highlighted the entire contents of that, did a right click and copied. Okay. Got some thumbs up, green arrow, green check marks. Okay, Kristen, how are you doing? Thumbs up. Liliana? Okay, great. If you could find another window, you probably are juggling quite a few windows at this point, my apologies, and go to github.com and log into your account. Right, give you guys a minute or so to do that. Okay, so we're going to go over, if you are logged in and able to follow along, you might have a little picture icon, or maybe it's just pixels right now. Go to the drop down and go to settings. And in settings, on the left-hand side menu list, there is a place for SSH and GPG keys. We're going to go click on that section. And I have two different SSH keys. So I log into my GitHub account via my laptop and also on a server that my team uses called Welsh. So it's those things. And we are going to click new SSH key. going to stop here because that was a series of commands, or a series of navigation. If you didn't follow along, it could be hard. So drop down menu to settings, SSH keys, SSH and GPG keys, and then presumably it's empty in yours. And so you would click new SSH key. Let's see. Okay. And I think, and I would go ahead and under the key, I'm going to paste what I just copied. And for the title, I'm going to go ahead and just take the same name that I have and call that my title. Whatever I named my computer, or my name at my computer. And once you're done with that, go ahead and add your SSH key. Okay. Any hiccups on this part? A lot of clicking and such. It's harder to show. Okay. If you go back to your SSH keys menu now, you should have at least one SSH key in there. That's the name of whatever you just typed in for your name at your machine. And we can go back to RStudio and the terminal window. We can try the same command before as we did before. SSH-T space git at github.com. Enter. And hopefully at this point you'll be successfully authenticated. No. Okay. Getting a lot of no's. What does it say? It might be different the first time. Is it the "Are you sure you want to continue connecting" message? Is that what pops up, or will someone share with me basically so that I can see what's going on?
Oh, it looks like a message pops up and you have to say yes.
Ah,
I assume that's probably what came up for everyone.
yes, you do need to say yes at this juncture. Sorry, that didn't show up for me. I forgot about this. Yes, and enter. Okay, so you've permanently added github.com to the list of known hosts. You've successfully authenticated, but GitHub does not provide shell access. That's fine. That's the message you want. Awesome. I forgot about the typing yes the first time. Hooray! That actually. And you can check it again, right? Do the SSH, just go up with go with the up arrow and type it again. Hope this time it shouldn't have, you shouldn't have to type yes the second time. It should just say, "Hi, your name, you've successfully authenticated." Or maybe not your name, your GitHub ID. I'm not sure if it's which one it is. Awesome. Okay. Any questions so far? Confusion about why we had to do that? Concern if you have to do that again by yourself someday?
I did put a link in the chat to instructions for what we just did. So if you have to do it
Awesome.
again, then yeah. And we don't expect you to just remember necessarily everything we're doing here, memorize it. So everything we're doing here is in all of the notes.
Awesome. What is SSH secure shell? Is that what SSH stands for?
Yeah, it's a secure shell protocol.
That's the same command that you would, or that I've been typing to get into the supercomputer at U of A, right? SSH, and then I have my ID for getting onto the for my account to get on the supercomputer. So this is that SSH here that we're typing into the terminal right now is like that. We're not, git at github.com is not a computer, which is why it says does not provide shell access, right? It's not a computer. We can't give it commands. but we've used that for authenticating. And now we'll be able to add, so before we had the git add and git commit were the 2 steps for saving. And now we'll be able to add a third, couple more steps along the way. But what we're working towards is adding a third part. And so it's like git add, git commit, and git push cycle, so that not only are things tracked locally, but you have all that, the code and the commit messages and everything, all the version control stuff is also backed up in the cloud on github.com. So if your computer were to face catastrophe, like let's not even talk about it, but it happens to people where computers get stolen, right? Computers face spills and other things. So in that case, I mean, data that you've saved on there, like other things that are not backed up, hopefully you have some Dropbox or Google Drive or something going on for your other files. But for code projects that are not backed up otherwise, the code itself, if you have been fairly religious about the add, commit, and push cycle, all of that will be available. And if you get a new computer, you can just bring it all down again and pick up where you left off. And that's not just for catastrophic things, right? That's just for normal things. Like I switched jobs during the pandemic, and so I had to return one laptop and get a new laptop and just keep going. But if I had everything up on GitHub, instead of putting on a thumb drive and moving it over or something, I cloned from GitHub. Okay, I just used the word clone.
So before I move on, Kristen had a question about the SSH keys. Is it something you do once per computer? And yes. So every time you get a new computer, have a second computer, you'll have to do this again. But these keys, so once you've generated an SSH key on any given computer, you can use that key for multiple different purposes. So here we're using the key to tell GitHub this is definitely our computer, but there are other cases possibly where you could use the same key on that same computer to tell another program, like I am really who I say I am, or this is really the right computer. So.
And it's kind of hopefully by showing where that key is, it makes it a little bit more intuitive. Like it's in your .ssh folder on your actual computer. So it's kind of a once per computer kind of thing. If you switch to a new machine and it doesn't have the .ssh folder, then it, it's not going to be able to connect to GitHub.
Did you talk at all about the private keys?
I didn't talk about the private keys. I talked about the public keys. And how it's matched to each other. Would you like to say more?
Oh, just that for your private key, so that's the file that doesn't have the .pub on the end. You don't want to share that with anyone anywhere. Yeah, that's that's the private one. That's the secret one that you're the only person who should ever really look at it. So just be careful not to accidentally put it somewhere on the internet or something like that.
Yeah, don't take a screenshot and put it on the internet. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, probably nobody was going to get in, difficulties like that, but yeah, so that's the thing, you don't want to share with anyone ever.
Yeah, I've made mistakes though before, when I was asking for help, I didn't realize it was in the screenshot and other people could see it. And so they were like, take it down. Okay, taking it down.
I accidentally put a private SSH key on GitHub one time. So that was bad.
Yeah. Okay, well, this means that we can move towards the next part of the lesson, which is, so we have the pilot analyses repository on our computers. Now let's make a version of it for the internet. And I will, that's backed up in the cloud, a GitHub repository instead of just a Git repository, if you will. So this is on my account. Oh gosh, how do I get back to my, okay. I have repositories and I can click over here to look at my repositories, and let's create a new repository and then connect the two. So click new here, and we're under the page create new repository, and I'm going to name it, I'm going to pull it up over here, exactly the same name, pilot.analyses. Great, it's available. Now I'm going to make it public. You might, if you were really, concerned about your data or something, you might start off with it being private and then change it to public later when you're ready to share. We're not going to add any of these things to it just yet. It's just going to be an empty repository. So let's just, once you have the name down, click create repository. You guys have a repository now under your own account. So it should look like the file naming system here should be whatever your GitHub username is, / and then the name of your new folder. Okay, and here it's going to give us this, it's empty, right? So it's going to give us this SSH address, and I'm going to click here to copy it. This button here lets me copy things. So there's a couple different options, right? There's create new repository on the command line, but we've already actually done this. So we're going to be doing this option. We're going to be pushed to an existing repository from the command line. Really, we just need this first one. So bear with me here. We're just going to copy the git@github.com address of this repository. And we're going to go back to our studio. And all of that SSH stuff we did while still in the repository. So I assume that you guys are also in the repository. And the command here is git. Okay, the next word is remote. I have not talked about what a remote is. So the repository that's on your computer is called the local, right? That's your local repository. And then you could have one or more, but at least one, if you are connected to GitHub, remote repository. And that's remote, remote from your computer, it's in the cloud. That's git@github.com. That's why it's git remote. And then we're adding, we're in where we are now in the working directory, we're adding that remote. And we're going to name it something. And there's the typical name for this. You could name it something else, but what we typically call it is origin. So an origin is a type of remote. It doesn't have to be called origin, but you can have different remotes with different names. And this is just to say that this is the version that's in your, it's origin. It's from Jessica Guo's version of pilot analyses. There's a local copy and there's an origin copy that's a remote in the cloud. Space. And then I'm going to paste. So the git@github.com, my username /pilot analyses -git. Okay. Press enter there. And nothing should happen on your guys' side. Does anyone get an error message at this point? Or any kind of complaint? Okay. Just to check that we have added that correctly, we can use a command called git remote. Oh, we've already used git remote, but this is with a different tag, different flag, --lowercase v. Okay, so this lists the various remotes associated with this repository. And we're connected to origin, right? That's what we just named it. We're actually connected to it twice. So the same location, but one is for fetching and one is for pushing. You may have heard the term fetch and pull before, related to Git and GitHub. So this allows, so that fetching is taking new commits that might be on GitHub and pulling and bringing them down, and pushing is just the opposite. If you've like typing on your local computer, made a commit, did some updates to your code, and you want to save it not just on your local computer but on GitHub, you do a push to push it up to the cloud. So hopefully those names are relatively intuitive. Okay. there, if I go back to my pilot analyses over here, and there's nothing in here. It doesn't really like, there's nothing to see. It's just showing me this quick setup page. And that's because all we've done is associate the two with the add remote, you know, the git remote add origin. We're associating the two, but we haven't actually pushed any of the changes onto the computer, on our computers into GitHub. So all the code is only living on our computers. There's nothing to see on GitHub. We got to do one more step in here, which is, let me check git status real quick. Okay, for me, there's nothing. All I have is in here is one script that's o1 explore data.r, and I'm ready to push it. It's all committed. There's no hanging. There's no like edits that are still hanging out. And I'm ready to git push. And where the next two arguments for this is where it's going to and where it's coming from, right? So it's git push origin space main. So ours is called main, and I can see that here, right, in the turquoise on my computer anyways. And I'm pushing to my origin, which I just set in the previous step as git at github.com, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if I do that, it's going to actually think first. There's going to be some messages here because it was not a very big file, obviously, but it's got to think and compress and like push it up. And now, when we go over here on GitHub and I click on pilot analyses, I should be able to see the one file. For you guys might have two or more files. The one file I have in my repository, and right here is the commit the most recent commit message associated with that file. How are we doing for this step?
Yeah, I think doing reactions
Yeah,
would be useful right now to
Let's
see if
do
everyone has
a
gotten to this
check
point.
mark.
There's a lot of stuff.
That was a lot of things. Error, failed to push some refs. Huh. You got it from git push origin main. Okay. Anybody else getting that error message? No such file or directory?
I get a pop-up window which asks me to log into GitHub.
Oh,
No messages at all. Like this just popped up.
it's asking you to log into GitHub?
Yeah, to sign in.
I think if it's asking for that, then it means that it is not doing the SSH version of this.
Oh no, Liliana, I think you entered a password, right? For your
No.
You didn't type a password, you just
No,
typed
no,
enter?
no, no. Mhm.
Oh, no, that was, sorry, I'm getting you confused. You're Fabiana. Sorry. Liliana did have a password. Right?
Yeah, the message that I got is the previous one saying failed to push some refs to github.com and the address of the repository.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing mine.
So one possibility behind the failed to push some refs is, have you made commits? If you've not made any commits in your repository, I suppose that can happen. I don't know. It seems like there's a variety of things that could happen here. So yeah, maybe somebody should share their screen.
Yeah,
even with that
Kristen,
error.
could you share your screen?
Yes, sure.
This is what I get. I did git
Oh,
push.
there's two screens. Okay. I think I'm looking at Kristen's screen.
Ah, okay.
Sorry about that. I think that's, oh. Yeah, could you do a git status, Kristen, for me? Whoa.
This one has a different name, master, instead of the main, so that could be an issue. I have a
So you
different.
don't have a main, but you also have a different issue related to reverting, apparently.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that popped up. I think
Whoa.
I'm just going back to that command that we all did together.
Oh, there was a you had a conflict for some reason with that.
So the easiest way to deal with that. Oh wait, never mind. I'm not sure exactly. Never mind. Sorry. I spoke
Okay.
before I
I
thought.
do this get revert again to go back before.
Yeah, why don't you try that and see if you,
Okay.
yeah. But it's still not,
That just printed out the page, the manual page.
Can you scroll up a tiny bit, Kristen? Oh,
Yeah.
Too far, too far.
Too far?
Too far. Yeah, below all this part. Below this, below this. Below this. You got the remote set up correctly. You're on. Okay, so yeah, the status message. Can you scroll down just a bit from here? Okay, it tells you use git revert space dash abort to cancel the revert. Yeah, why don't you do that? You can copy and paste that.
I just found the same thing looking online.
Oh,
to do that. So yeah, it looks like, because you can see right before the prompt it says master type reverting. I guess you're in like a reverting state.
yeah, you weren't done. You hadn't committed the revert. It was still like hanging. So it's okay. We're just skipping the revert. And so in your case, you didn't, at some point you did not name your, when we were downloading, you didn't change it over to the option for it to be main instead of master, which is fine.
Some
It's
of
just
them-
that everywhere that we type main, you're gonna have to type master.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think that whether I think it by default called it master, and I think it might have to do with maybe the version of Git or something.
Yeah, so I just entered this and I'm not.
Huh, that's odd that nothing is happening.
It might just be the internet connection is slow.
Could be. I'm not at home. Actually not letting me type in anything at this point.
Okay, so that was a pretty specific issue, I think, that having to do with the revert.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna stop my share and I think somebody
Yeah.
else.
You might try closing the terminal window and like if it's hanging and opening a new one and trying that again.
Okay.
Oh, you could also run a git status before you do the git push, just to make sure that all of your commits have been like committed. All of your changes have been committed first. Put it all in a commit message, add, commit, and then try the push. Okay. We're gonna troubleshoot in order here. Who is next? Fabiana, I think. Is your screen? No, your screen is not shared yet.
No, I think so. Wait. I mean, I authenticate my browser. I don't know why you asked that. And this is what I get. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
You can go
okay.
to GitHub and check. Like
Oh,
click on your
okay.
repository on GitHub and see if your
This
code.
one?
Yeah. Or just go to your browser window. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look.
Hey.
Ah, okay. Great. I
Interesting.
just had to commit. I don't know why. I had to authorize it.
Oh, you see this .r history file?
Yeah, I can
In?
put it in git ignore.
Yeah, there you go. That could be cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. You work on that. Who's next? I think I saw Richie's hand up or was up.
Yeah, sorry. I fell a little bit behind and tried to do the git remote at origin,
Mhm.
and it's
Why don't you share your
saying
screen?
yeah, saying it's not a repository.
Ooh, we might have to blow that up quite a bit for me to see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How do I do that?
It should be Control Shift Plus.
So I think I found out what's going on already.
Oh,
I think you're not actually in your Git repository.
oh yeah,
You're in
just
the
in
wrong folder.
documents.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay. got it.
Yeah, this is I mean, I do this all the time too. Yeah. I'll try to run Git and it'll be like, if it says not a Git repository, that means whatever folder you're in is not, it hasn't been Git initted. So it's usually assigned to figure out where you're at.
Oh,
I do
gotcha.
that
I know
all
where I
the
need to be.
To CD into the repository itself before you can use any of the Git commands.
Yeah. You have to be in the top level folder.
Susan, would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, maybe I fell behind too. And I'm sorry, I have to figure out how I can see everything at this point. Okay. Yeah, so I tried to add and I tried the master thing and it just keeps telling me that it's like it doesn't match anything. And the first thing I got was like fatal, cannot run, no file or directory. I'm just not sure where I am.
Can you check what your remote is?
The Git remote dash V.
Wait, Git remote, just dash. Is it uppercase or lowercase?
Lowercase. Okay, so
Okay.
you have.
This,
Oh,
it's
that's
yeah.
HTTPS. That's not right. Whoops.
Yeah, we'll have to change that.
Okay. Hold on. Just have to find. I have this from somewhere, from having to change it myself. I have to find it.
So it's just that that URL there is HTTPS instead of the one for SSH. So we'll just have to update it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you could go back to your GitHub page, you have to copy a different address, basically the SSH address, not the HTTPS address.
Oh, okay.
So I have the command.
Okay.
And then after I copy it, what do I press or what do I type?
So if you want to type git space remote space, space, and then it's set dash URL.
No,
oh, sorry.
Just the dash itself.
Dash symbol, yeah.
Set URL with a dash in between.
Set URL. Okay.
Yep. And then and then space, and then the word origin, and then space, and then paste in that what you copied. There you go, and hit enter. So now when you run git remote dash v again, we can check and make sure it updated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you do that, you should look for the git at github.com instead of starting with HTTPS.
Okay.
And so now, if you want to check with a git status first, let's just make sure everything is committed. Yep. Now try git push origin main. Yeah, and for you, it is main because your branch is called main.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now that worked. Hopefully, if you go over to
Yay.
GitHub, you'll be able to see the files that were in on your computer are also on GitHub.
Okay, I will check.
Awesome. Liliana, did we get a question from you earlier? Or did I make that up?
No,
No. Okay.
thank you.
Priyanka.
So I just realized I think I have HTTP. I was able to push, and I have the files on my GitHub.
Sorry, could you repeat? We're having a little bit of trouble. Oh.
No,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm just going to turn off my camera so you can hear me better, I hope.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I said that I also have the HTTP instead of the SSH, but when I pushed my repo from my local computer, I was able to push it to GitHub online.
Interesting.
They
do you
changed
wanna
like
take
the rules that, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah, could you
You
share your
want me to
screen?
share-
Let's
yeah.
take a look.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay, let's Can you tell me what you see now? I have two screens and I think
I see
shared one.
GitHub.
Okay, so this is the GitHub and I'm gonna pull R. And if if you see when I did git remote, there are HTTPS files from the link is,
Interesting.
yeah.
I have no idea why it let you do that. It's not, you're not supposed to be able to do that anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't have figured it out until I saw Susan with you pointing that out. And I'm like, well, it worked for me. It didn't have any issues. So I don't know.
I don't really know why, but it's working. It probably won't work forever, but
Why don't we change it right now since we are
Okay.
yeah. So let me put in the chat. So if you are in HTTPS and you wish to switch it to SSH,
Yeah.
git remote set -URL origin and then paste in the SSH address. Oh, set -URL.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
And can you remind me again, how do I get that? Because I don't see it anymore.
The
when I
green
click.
code button.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then
Oh, I
that's
see.
go to
Okay.
SSH. Yeah. And then
Now
click copy. There you go. Oh, origin, type the word origin first. Set URL space origin space. Yeah, okay. And then get remote -v.
Okay, yeah.
Great. And why don't you just on your own right now, try make another little change, make another commit message and push it again to make sure it actually pushes.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Kunal, I see a check mark for you. Roya, how are things going? Okay. And Pranitha, I think you came in a little bit later. You're probably unable to jump in right at this juncture. We had a lot of
Yeah,
steps to
also
get
this
here.
is my first session joining and I would try to catch up by the next session. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do have
But-
videos and please don't hesitate to actually like Slack us.
Okay, yeah,
We can set up appointments to get you caught up. Like there's,
yeah, sure.
yeah, it's a lot.
Thank
to
you so
follow.
much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay.
I have a question. Once I do another commitment in the terminal, what should I look for in the browser? Like for instance, now I added the ALVSCE files in gitignore. It says in the browser like window that I have actually made new commitments, but it still shows the file. So I don't know whether I'm doing something wrong.
I mean, this is something we should all, okay. I don't know exactly. I think it's different. You didn't delete the .r history. I think you only ignored it, but you already pushed it before you ignored it. So I don't know if, so I think from here on out, it doesn't track it, but I think it's already there. You can go in and like delete it from your repository if you care that much, or, you know, it doesn't hurt anything. It can stay
I just
there.
wanted to try, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But I think it should be that it won't keep track of it from here on out.
well, and so you changed the gitignore file, right?
Yeah.
Did that change show up in the gitignore file on GitHub in the repository?
Yes.
Okay.
I made new commitments and they show up. So
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
I will try to delete the file and see if when I save this session, it appears back. I will try to do that.
Okay. I'd like everyone now to take 3 to 5 minutes to make some more changes in this repository, whether that is adding some more pseudocode, adding another file, putting another file in and then changing the gitignore. Make some changes and then do a add, commit, push cycle. So last time we practiced adding and committing. This time let's add and commit and then push, and your final check will be, did the change you made on your computer show up on GitHub? And so I'm going to set a little timer on my end for that, and we'll join back up in, let's say, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Kristen, did that answer your question at all?
Yes, so I was able to start a new terminal. So now I think I have to navigate back to the right directory, and then I might need to redo the last code. Would you mind typing that out? Or actually, it might be right there. Git push origin main.
Yeah. So for you, I think I wanted to make sure you might want to try get status first. Because I think you had untracked changes last time we looked at your computer together.
Yeah, so when I did that, it said not a Git repository.
You got to get into your repo first.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Are you able to get into the repository?
Okay, in it now.
Okay. Try get status.
Okay.
And what's it say?
It says on branch master untracked files. Use git add to include in what will be committed.
Okay, so you should try. Well, I will type it in the chat. You will need a git add and then like file name or files if you have multiple untracked. Git commit message. Here. Right, do a git commit -m and then type your message in the quotes. Then you'll be able to do a git push origin master for you because your main branch is named master. So why don't you try that?
So when it added right, but then when I did the commit command, it's saying that I have on branch master untracked files again.
Did you add all of the files that have changes? You might have to git add a couple times, or you can also git add and chain the different files together. Here, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries at all. Oh, you have to git add that. So git add papers, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, that folder has changes in it that haven't been added. So now try git status. Did you change your git ignore last time to ignore the .pdfs?
I think so.
Because it's still showing up in here. But that's fine. We'll just track.
Okay.
Can you do a ls right now, actually?
Sure.
Oh, you don't have a git ignore in here. What happened to the .git ignore?
I don't know. I remember doing that.
Okay. Maybe it got saved elsewhere. Or,
Do you want to do ls-al?
oh, it could be hidden, right?
Oh,
Nope. No .git ignore. Okay.
I mean, everybody's repositories are probably in slightly different shape at this point, right? They have slightly different content and commits and stuff. So that's
they
fine.
are, but I would like I would like her to have a .git ignore file kind of reference. Kristina, do you mind going into a breakout room with Kristen and making sure that she has that and then can successfully push it?
Yeah.
To GitHub?
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
I'm always happy to rewatch the video too, because I know we went over it. And to not take away.
And I mean, all you need to do, I kind of just don't want you to miss the next part of what we're covering. So that's my main concern.
Yeah, no, thank you. I can go back and rewatch the video.
Okay.
And
yeah, make sure you have a .git ignore file in there. It took us a little while. I guess we did spend a while talking about that. Well, the thing is, I wanted that because then now it's going to push. Now it's going to push it to there. Go ahead and try git push origin master. It's going to push the PDF up, but that's okay.
Is that okay? Sorry, now I'm
Yeah,
really
it
sure. I
won't,
might
it
not
won't be
thinking
able to,
far
it won't
enough
be able to
ahead.
go back again, Laura. That's what Fabiana's test showed us. Like once it's up,
Yeah.
you have to like manually take it down.
So it's weird. It just did the same thing it did last time, which is it kind of freezes on me.
I think you needed a git commit too. You've only get added. Oh, that's so
It
weird.
froze on you. That is so bizarre.
Mm.
Okay.
Huh. I'm doing like Control C or something. It doesn't change it probably.
Or escape or Q.
Control
things out.
D.
So where's my annotate?
Sorry, and nothing I type is registering on there.
Could you go there, the drop down menu there? And close terminal. And then click it again to open a new one. Okay, so navigate is going to be CD space. Yeah.
Oops.
I think you should just go. So CD dot CD space. You got to go up a level and down a level, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think that's good. Okay. Okay. So get status. Git commit -m. And then put a commit message real quick between some quotes. And then let's check git remote -v before we try pushing again. You have the same issue. So you notice that the address there is HTTPS. It's not SSH, or it's not git at github.com.
Okay, yeah, I was following when that was happening to someone else, so I can look back at the chat. I think you had the code there.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't think it's in the chat.
it's in the
Oh, there
it
we go.
is,
There we go.
It's there. And remember, you have to go to your Git. So go to your GitHub and get the SSH address, not the HTTP address. So can you navigate to your GitHub page?
And unfortunately, the HTTPS one is sometimes the default still.
You
'Cause
gotta
It used to be
Oh,
more
I see.
common. Yeah.
I'm sorry, on my computer, SSH was default, and I assumed that was the same for everyone, and that's not the case. So I gotta be clear about that next time we teach this. So git remote space set URL.
Oh.
Yeah, set URL before the first set URL, then origin. Yeah, you can't, you just gotta delete. You can't, highlighting doesn't work in here, unfortunately. Oh, set dash between the set and the URL. Yeah, again, you can't do that.
Sorry.
You just gotta go back. And then paste. Okay, you can enter that and git remote -v. Let's check it again. Okay, now I think let's try git push origin master. Okay, there you
Thank
go.
you so much.
So if you go to your GitHub now, you should have all the things. You still need a git ignore, but that is the cycle. It's a git add, git commit, git push, or git commit with a commit message, git push.
You have to reload the page to see the changes.
Yeah, click up here under pilot now. Oh, or that.
Ooh, ooh.
So there you go. You've got your papers folder and your Explorer, and you've got a backup in the cloud of all of your code that's in this repository.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next thing I'm showing is, so we have a repository for you guys, and so I spoke earlier about different kinds of remotes. There's the remote that belongs to you, right? It's associated with your GitHub address, GitHub profile, and it's your content. You can also have a remote that is forked, there's another term, forked from somebody else's repository. And that's what we'd like you guys to do now. So there is this relationship where you have somebody else's repository that you've made a copy of, and then you copy it down. And it's kind of a triangle. We have oh man, where's I should show the.
I was just about to post it in Slack.
Yeah, this was the figure to describe this. So everything that's on GitHub is a remote. And in this case, you might have two things on GitHub. There's a upstream repository that you've forked, and then there's your own copy on GitHub, and then there's your actual local copy on your computer. And there's this this triangle relationship between those two things. Two versions on GitHub, one that belongs to somebody else, a copy that you've made of somebody else's public repository that you might be making changes to, and then your own copy. And so what we're inviting you guys, let me go find this now. Here it is. This, I'll drop it in the chat. You guys could navigate by clicking that link to this. This is our AZ Digital Ag is our organization's our GitHub organization, and Data Sci Workshop is the repository for this class, for this workshop series. And there's a couple different things you could do here, right? So one thing, if you just wanted the code for yourself, for example, if you were taking a short workshop and you were following along what the instructor was saying, and you just needed the code on your computer so that when they're walking through their code, you want to be able to do the same thing, you would go to code and you would get their address and you could clone it. You would navigate, you would CD to a spot that you want it on your computer, and you type git space clone space and then paste the SSH address of that. So then you directly have a copy. We don't actually want you to do that because there's nothing really in here. We are populating a relatively empty repository with just a handful of literally two things in there, and we want you guys to add to it. For the rest of the workshop, when we have our materials and we're teaching, the visualization and the tidyverse and the for loops and whatnot, every time you save scripts, we want you to upload it, do the add, commit, push cycle to your own repository. So we're not going to clone. We're not going to do this cloning option. We're going to go here, the fork, and you probably don't have quite as many options in here as I do, and click on your name, your user profile, and I will do the same. What does forking do? Let's see. Okay, so forking means that I now have a Jessica Guo copy of Data Sci Workshop. Before it was owned, the original is owned by AZ Digital Ag, our organization. Now I have a Jessica Guo copy. Hopefully you guys have your own copies. It's got all the same code on it. And this is the one we're going to clone and push to. So that we're not making, you can't, unless you are given editing permissions or administrative permissions, you can't directly edit somebody else's repository. You can, however, make a copy, edit it, and then submit something called pull requests or PRs, right? The idea of pull kind of being the opposite of push. You can't push to somebody else's repository because you don't have privileges, but you can submit a pull request and request that they pull those in. And that's just a way of kind of controlling who gets access to do which changes, so that if somebody has a repository of code that they're making a package for, you can't just go in and change their code for them, right? But you can respectfully make edits. I suggest if you did this change, it would improve your code. Here's a pull request that explains everything I did and why I think it's useful. And they can be, oh, cool, this is great. This is exactly, I was hoping someone would fix that, and they could incorporate it in their code. So that's the ideal way in which that works. Here, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do the cloning thing, but notably, please do not clone directly from AZ Digital Ag. Clone from the one that's your fork of data sci workshop.
So sorry, not to interrupt you, but I think not everyone has had a chance yet to fork this data sci workshop repository. You can actually see who has forked it. And it's different than it used to be. So you can't click on there anymore, Jessica.
Oh, really?
You actually, I know, I was just struggling with this a minute ago, but if you go under the about part, on the right-hand side, under about, lower than that. Yeah, there's right there, that's 6 forks. And so, interesting. Fabiana forked Jessica's fork, which is fine, right?
Did you go back and fork AZ Digital Ag directly, Fabiana?
And I can put a link to that.
How do I undo this?
I don't know that you can undo it
can.
once you forked it, but you can just.
I mean, you probably can.
Maybe there's some way you can. Oh,
You
you
don't
can.
think there's a
You
way
can
to-
delete. You can delete a repository.
Yeah,
so you
delete
can-
the repository. How do you delete it though? I don't know.
And that's kind of a dangerous thing to do generally. So. Yeah, I think under the settings on your fork, probably at the bottom of general. It'll be in like the red box, the danger zone. Yeah.
Ooh.
And so you can delete it.
So Fabiana, the fork that's of my fork, you can delete. Oh, I mean, you don't have the permission to delete the original anyway. So, but just it shouldn't be a frequent option. You should not. I have never done this, for example, deleting a repository. But in that case, if you want to get rid of your fork of my fork and do the original fork instead. So let's see, we've got Kunal, Kristina, Priyanka, Kristen, Richie, Susan. Aha, I can track who hasn't done it yet. Kunal has a question. Can you explain the functional difference between forking and cloning again? Okay, that's a great question. I went over that pretty quickly. Let's pull up the diagram. It's easier to point to things. Forking does not remove the necessity of cloning. So we have forked, and that's all on GitHub. So to get a local copy, you still need a clone. It's just a matter of if you are cloning your copy of it, or if you're cloning the copy that somebody else owns that you forked from. If you clone, so you could choose to do that, right? You could choose to go to AZ Digital Ag, it's a public repo, you could just clone it. But you don't have ownership privileges of that. So you can never, it's a one unidirectional relationship. If they update the repository, you can keep updating it, like with pull to get the new changes pulled, but you can never push it back. You can't push to somebody else's repository. The only way that you could push is by forking first, cloning, pushing, right? So I can annotate my own screen, right? I need to find my annotate button again. It always disappears on me. Annotate. Okay. Let's do 2 different colors. So bringing it down, let's make it green. So to bring it down, we're doing forking and cloning. But to push it up, we would have to, so if we ever want to make edits and say, hey, I noticed that, and this is the same thing if you're working with collaborators that you're sharing code with, like you're not a passive observer, like you want to make contributions, you would push your changes first to your GitHub copy, and then on GitHub. So this is not a step that you would do in the terminal window like we've been doing everything else so far, but on GitHub itself, you would submit a pull request and say, hey, owners of Upstream, I made this cool change. You should pull it. You should merge it into your code base so that everyone can have this cool, awesome feature that I updated for you guys. Okay.
So then, thank you. That explains it perfectly for me. And then
Great.
I was wondering, so if Upstream, if AZ Digital Ag makes edits to this repository that we just forked, they won't be we have to then fork it again if we want their edits.
You do have to do something. You don't have to fork it again, but you would pull. So
Okay.
locally, when we did the git remote -v, currently we only have one. We have an origin one. But you would name the AZ Digital Ag one if we were to do this, which we don't have time to do today, but you would name it upstream. And so instead of git pull from your origin, you would do git fetch upstream, and you could get those changes down to your local copy also. There is a lot going on here.
And push them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
yeah.
It is. This is a little confusing. The mental model for this, it can take a while to develop it.
This took me ages. So if you
And I
guys
still
could get at
sometimes
least
get
a grasp of this, it'll be like you'll be on your way. You're saying, okay, well, I want my origin to be the same as my upstream. You notice in this model that there's no way to actually do that. You can't just say, short of forking it again, you cannot actually get your origin to match the new changes to upstream. What you would have to do is pull down or fetch down, make a commit, and push that commit up. So that is typically the model. It's like, okay, oh, they made changes. I want those changes. I want those changes locally, and it has to go through local and then up to origin. Now I say that it's not entirely true anymore. There's a button on GitHub to let you sync the origin and the upstream now. But that is very, very new button. Like I noticed it in like, I don't know, the last couple of months. Maybe it was there for longer. I don't know. But some of the teaching materials online will definitely still show this relationship, saying that you can't actually sync across repositories on GitHub alone. It has to come through your local and through some Git commands. We actually were hoping maybe not to have to talk about this. Oh, you can't refork a repository. Well, there you go. You cannot. I hadn't thought about that.
And we only have a minute left, but we can next time pick this up and actually do the rest of these steps possibly. So.
Okay. Well, let me, how do I, okay. Okay, let me see how many people have forked. Okay, so Fabiana, Jessica, Kunal, Kristina, got some more people on here. Great. I do want you guys to do one thing, because we have not cloned yet. I've talked about cloning, but we haven't cloned. So go to your fork, the one that has your repo name, DataSci workshop. Make sure that under this, when you click the code button, the green code button, SSH is hopefully selected. If it's not, if it's HTTPS, switch it over to SSH and copy it. You can Control-C, you can click the button to copy it. And then in RStudio, we cannot clone it where we are right now, right? Presumably you're inside a repository. You can't clone a repository inside another repository. I've never tried, but I assume you can. It would mess all kinds of things up. So what we need to do is cd one level up. So that's my .. /. So now I'm in my documents. Hopefully you guys are similarly in your documents folder. And the command, whoa, not typing it correctly. The command that we've been talking about but haven't actually until this very moment used yet is git space clone and paste the git@github.com address. Again, make sure it's your name out in front here, not AZ Digital Ag, for the DataSci workshop.git. And if you do that, it takes a little bit. If I navigate over here now to my documents folder, where is it? DataSci workshop. And I now have a copy of the CSV and the R script that are in there. So yeah. That's how you can get a copy of other people's code that are publicly shared on GitHub. Awesome. That's it for today. We will pick up next time. Kristina will teach, and there will be another optional homework assignment about style guides for next time, for Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
A quick one. If it's too long, no problem. But I think I am having problem in